folks. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're doing well. I was watching some stuff there on Trump and on the Rogan, and Trump explains some things better. They give you this snippet, little, we're gonna cut taxes for 100 million. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. But they don't explain how they're gonna do it. Just that they're gonna quote do it. Well, just because they say something doesn't mean much. But when they sit there and they start to explain it, well, then that's a little different. And he touched on base on how he's going to do a few things and blah, blah, blah. And his thing was, and I saw this on another thing, where like 93 million Americans may not be paying any tax at all, which I think that's a good thing. If you listen to Trump, before there was an income tax that came along in 1913 along with the Federal Reserve note, we didn't have income tax. A lot of them didn't have property tax, nothing like that. They had tariffs and such, and it always seemed interesting to me where they were able to build infrastructure. They had money to build infrastructure because gold and silver was the name of the game. We didn't have this fiat crap. So they had more money than they knew what to do with. They had brick roads. They didn't know what concrete and bituminous overlay and stuff was. They didn't know what that stuff was. They had cement, but it wasn't a washed sand or anything, so it was pretty weak, deteriorated quickly. But the thing of it was is they had a lot of funds. So they could build the sidewalks and buildings and roads and so on and so forth. So they didn't have an income tax. Ain't that something? Now you get taxed on tax on top of tax on top of tax. You're getting the hell tax on everything. You go out and buy I don't know what you go out and buy something. You go out and buy something like this, okay? When it was first made, first bought, it was taxed. Then if it goes to a second-hand store, you go in there and they tax it again. Some guy gets rid of it again and goes to another store or something, thrift store or something, it gets taxed again. It just gets getting taxed. It's already had the tax paid on it once. It's just like people in cars. You pay tax on it once, and then when you buy a car, it's used, and you got to pay tax on it again because you're the quote new owner. And then you trade it in or sell it, and then somebody else pay another tax on it. It's like you're being taxed and taxed and taxed. And this is exactly what they said, in the Constitution. No, that's taxation without representation, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's happening now and it's worse than ever. You understand, folks? Everything that's going on now is worse than it was then. Right? It's worse now than it was ever. Is that interesting or what? Why? Well, because you allowed it. Our fathers and our forefathers, is that they allowed it. And they kept lying to you more and more. That's what happens when you don't have checks and balances. You don't have some oversight. And I'm not talking about bureaucracy, government bullshit. I'm talking about the people. See, we got a bunch of stupid people out there. And that's what it comes down to. It was funny. I saw it happen on. I saw it happen on J.D. Vance had a town hall thing, or speaking thing, and somebody yelled, Christ is King or something. He turned around and goes, yes, that's right, Christ is King, blah blah blah. One individual said that at Kamala's, and she says, that's down the hall. You got the wrong venue. That's that small group, or something. And I'm like, she doesn't even know what you're talking about. She's so evil. They've been evil for so long. Pretty unreal. If anything should scare you, and you have any fear at all, that should scare you. The lunatics like that should put. I mean, when God's with you, there's no fear. I mean, God protects you. God, they can only do so much to your human body, and that's it. They can only kill you once. But when you have a bunch of these woke people, and wanting pronouns and all kinds of stuff, identifies this and that. I mean, it's craziness. It's devil. It's Satan worshiping. And people are going to vote for that. Why? Are they that mindless? That uninformed? Do they dislike Trump that much? I mean, you're making a decision, and I don't care if you don't like the person or not. You gotta look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know what I'm saying? You gotta look at it all. See what fits in with your plans, fits in with your beliefs. No one's going to be perfect. That's a fact. So with that said, you're going to disagree. But does that mean you're going to run off to the wolf and let the wolves take over and devour you? Just because some idiot thinks this or thinks that? Listen to some bunch of lies that were never said, things that happened that should have never happened. Pretty unreal. So I figured I'd get on there and spout off a little bit. So you folks, y'all have a good one.